Hello, my friends. Today, the Russians have once again achieved some gains and advances along the front line, but the Ukrainian forces continue to strike at Russian supply depots and bases to stabilize the situation on the front. Yesterday's strikes were reported in Crimea as well as in Melitopol. However, unfortunately, this doesn't seem to resolve the overall problem of the Russian advance. The Russians still have a lot of resources, supply depots, and bases. Destroying one depot results in two more appearing. They continue to bring more resources to the occupied territories both through the Crimean bridge and the railway. Meanwhile, the construction of fortifications hasn't ceased. They continue to build additional defense lines. This situation remains unresolved for now, marking the situation at the front very difficult. Now, let's take a brief look at the frontline situation, which has again worsened today. Starting with the Kharkiv direction, the occupiers are not stopping the influx of reserves and continue attempting to push the Ukrainian armed forces out of the village of Gliboke and are trying to break through to the settlement of Liptsi. The shelling is ongoing at maximum intensity, but there have been no changes along the front line. In Vovchansk, the fighting continues as well. The Ukrainian armed forces are trying to destroy as many occupiers as possible and clear the outskirts of the city. Meanwhile, the Russians are trying to capture the city completely and are expending a huge amount of resources to do so. In the Kupiansk direction, the occupiers are also maintaining their activity, attempting to take full control of Synkivka and assaulting the outskirts of Petropavlivka. However, they haven't achieved any new successes in this area. The Ukrainian armed forces continue to repel their attacks. In the Svatove area, the occupiers persist with their assaults near Stelmakhivka, despite recently getting closer to the settlement. Entering it remains elusive for them. The Ukrainian armed forces are fending off the attacks directly on the fields. Further south, battles are ongoing near Kharkivka and the village of Makiyevka. It's evident that the Russians are not changing their attack directions at all, and the situation has remained stable for a long time. In the direction of Crimean, the occupiers are still trying to push our troops across the river along the entire front line, but they haven't achieved any success so far. The Ukrainian forces are holding the defense, and the front line remains unchanged. In the Siversk direction, despite the occupiers' previous success in Bilohorivka, Spirne, and near Rozdolivka, their activity has decreased today and they are unable to make significant breakthroughs. Let me remind you that earlier advances were in the range of 300 to 400 meters. Currently, fighting is only ongoing near Spirne and Vyemka. The Ukrainian forces report that there was another attack on Bilohorivka with the use of armored vehicles a few days ago. It's evident that the Russians are suffering heavy losses and their successes in this direction are minimal. In the direction of Chasiv Yar, the occupiers continue to assault the outskirts of the city, attempting to advance further along the streets. The situation remains extremely difficult. They are also trying to make progress on the flanks and are attacking Kalinivka, Ivanivska, Klishivka, and Andriivka. Soldiers from the Ukrainian forces in the area report that the situation is very challenging, with relentless assaults from the occupiers. The level of shelling remain at its peak, but there have been no changes on the front line over the past 24 hours. The Ukrainian forces are doing everything possible to maintain their current positions. In the Toretsk direction, the situation is nothing short of a nightmare. The occupiers continue to advance on the outskirts, engaging in street battles near Niu-York, then Zalizne, Pivnichne and Pivdenne. Unfortunately, they have achieved new successes here. Near New York, they managed to move 2 kilometers closer to the city, confirming the capture of Yurivka. The Russians are now essentially on the western edge of the city, attempting to break into it. The challenge remains intense. Additionally, the occupiers have made progress near Druzhba, advancing 2 kilometers 600 meters. They have also expanded their control over the fields, bringing them closer to the semi-encircling Toretsk, which is very concerning. Ukrainian Armed Forces soldiers report that the Russians have a plan to capture New-York within 2 weeks. It's evident that the Ukrainian Armed Forces currently only control the city center, with the rest now falling into a gray zone, which is very alarming. In the Pokrovsk direction, the situation remains extremely challenging, with nearly 50 assaults reported in the past 24 hours. The primary concern is the potential for the Russians to gain control of the main highway, for which they are sparing no resources. This makes the situation near Vozdvizhenka particularly difficult. They continue shelling and assaulting the village, indicating that sooner or later they may make significant advances here. Additionally, intense fighting persists near Novo-Alexandrivka, Kalinove, Lozovatske, the village of Progress, Yevgenivka, and Novoselivka Persha. From Yasnobrodivka, they are attempting to expand their control over the fields. So far, there have been no new changes along the front line. The Ukrainian forces are doing everything possible to maintain their defenses. However, there are unofficial reports suggesting that the Ukrainian forces have already had to retreat from Yevgenivka. We will wait for an official statement and an update on the map before drawing any conclusions. In the Kurakhove direction, the occupiers seem determined to capture Paraskoviivka as quickly as possible. It's reported that they have assaulted this village 15 times in the past 24 hours. However, there have been no reported successes so far, and the fighting continues. The situation here is extremely difficult, with the Russians striving to achieve their objectives at any cost. In the Vuhledar direction, the occupiers continue their attacks on Vodiane and have resumed fighting near Makarivka. They conducted 6 assaults in the past 24 hours, but haven't achieved any new successes, and the front line remains unchanged. However, it appears that the Ukrainian forces may soon have to retreat to Makarivka from Urozhaine, as the occupiers are devastating the area, making it practically impossible to hold positions. The village is now nearly surrounded. In the Zaporizhzhia direction, the Russians conducted 2 assaults near Mala Tokmachka and Robotyne, but as before, they didn't achieve any success and remain in their previous positions. In the Kherson direction, the occupiers attacked the village of Krinky, but again, they didn't achieve any success and were forced to retreat to their previous positions. Therefore, the Ukrainian forces still hold a bridgehead on the left bank under their control, although they are unfortunately unable to expand it further. And that's all from me. So please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.